Hey, this is DK7 back once again with my retrospective on Arkham City. First off, I want to apologize for the lack of audio in this clip. For some weird reason, Arkham City on my PC doesn't like me. I.e., it just doesn't record audio for some strange reason. Anyway, that's just an error, I think, in the game or fraps. I'm not sure. Anywho, so just kind of do the same basic format as last time. We can start out with the bad, which I'm trying to think of. There isn't that much I have issues with in the game. It's definitely my favorite of the Arkham franchise. Yeah, honestly, I can think of nothing I don't like about the game, really. Maybe the side missions. Actually, now that I think about it, the side missions are a little mundane. They're not all that exciting. So let's just move on to some of the good aspects. The story, of course, is wonderful. And as you progress through it, there's some pretty great moments. The first interaction with Ra's al Ghul, that fight, and of course, this is possible spoilers if you haven't played the game. The whole Mr. Freeze boss battle. Oh man, I love that boss battle. It's just so awesome. Basically, the reason I like it, especially as you play on harder difficulties like New Game Plus, etc., which is actually a great feature to have, the New Game Plus idea. You have to vary your takedowns every time. So you can't just go sneak up behind him, take him down, sneak up behind him, take him down. No, you do different takedowns. Can't speak. Takedowns each time. So, you can glide kick him once, you can zap him once, etc., etc. And then, of course, and this will be kind of a major spoiler, the ending sequence, with Protocol 10, that went down there. And even, I talked about in Asylum, I didn't like, steroid Joker boss battle. And a lot of people might say, but the Clayface battle at the end of Arkham City is very similar. I disagree. It didn't feel as forced and stupid. It actually made a lot of sense in the plot. So, yeah. And just back to the side missions for a moment. One of my all-time favorites has to be the Mad Hatter one, especially if you're using like the animated series bat skin. Oh yeah, that was something else they added that I thought was wonderful, was the skins. Oh, they're just so cool. But with the bunny mask, he just looks so funny. I'm guessing you remember my complaint in Arkham City was, there isn't enough enemy variety. I think I forgot one actually. There's 6 basic types in that game. There was knife, baton, psycho, regular thug, gun thug, and I guess you could say like bat thug, and maybe even bosses if you want. And did I say Titan thug? I think I did. Anyway, in this there are even more actual types of enemies, and some of them are, can become others, like the baton and shield thugs. They are obviously can pick up those weapons at any time. But you have kind of 3 basic grunt enemies. You have your armored guys, which you have to use the beatdown to take out. Your gun enemies, of course, and your thug enemies. So, that's 3 types, but then you have the fact that both the armored and the regular guys can become baton or shield enemies if they have the opportunity to. And they will go, and they can even become gun enemies, actually, in combat. I think they could do that in Asylum, too. But then you also have kind of, you could call them mini-boss characters. You have the lieutenants, as they're called, the hammer and sickle, the one-armed guys that you have to use modified beatdown to get rid of, and then, of course, Titan thugs, which actually are very unique. You have to use the cape stun, the triple cape stun, and then, just beat them up from there. So yeah, there was definitely a lot more enemy variety, which made it a lot more fun. The other thing that I thought was great were the DLC characters, and just the DLC in general. Of course, I already mentioned the skins, but, you have Catwoman, Robin, and Nightwing as characters. They also, all three respectively, have animated series skins, which you can see. So, I really liked the Catwoman. It was kind of fun doing her story stuff. It was, I guess. It was kind of okay. I mean, it added to the game, whatever. But the thing that and also you get to play as Robin in the Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC, which takes place after the story, which is fun. Definitely fun to play as him finally. The thing that bums me out is that you never really get to play as Nightwing in the story. And I know, PC mods, whatever. I actually tried that. Didn't quite get it figured out. So, anyone in the comments wants to help me do that, comment. And, that would be great. But he was actually my favorite character to goof around as. And it's disappointing you can't really access the city with him or really do anything other than challenge maps with him, which is something I'm looking forward to in Arkham Knight. Even if you can't free roam as him, he will have an aspect you can play as him more. Excuse me. Gosh darn it. That's what I get for picked it up after one ring. Okay. Improvising this. And overall, again, I said the atmosphere for Asylum was great, and I'd actually say Asylum has a better atmosphere than City, but City definitely gives off the right vibe for that maximum security prison that, is somewhere you really don't want to spend any time, even though I've spent countless hours just beating the crap out of everybody. Oh, that's one thing I'll mention. Just thinking of hours. So in Asylum, I said I only 100%ed it once because the Riddler trophies in the city was just the island was boring after you beat the story. In City, I've gone through and gotten all the Riddler trophies on several occasions because there's actually a point to doing that. You kind of have a fun side mission to go with those. And just overall, it's fun because there's still enemies in the city that you can just, if you see them, you can beat the snot out of if you want to. So, it definitely makes it worthwhile to go through. And the story is, just stellar. I've beaten through that more times than I care to remember. I had gotten it to the point, actually, probably about a year ago or whatever, that I could highlight the high points of the story, and I could literally walk through the major points of the story in my head. So, it's actually kind of sad. Anyway, let's see. Anything else? Definitely the new gadgets they added, stuff like that, really just made the game much more enjoyable. They had some fun gadgets. There are fun Easter eggs all over the place, even ones that aren't required for riddles. You have the Killer Croc Easter egg, etc. So yeah, that kind of basically sums up everything. So I'm currently working through Origins again. I'm gonna take my time through that one because the game's still kind of too fresh for me, and it's just kind of mediocre now that I'm playing through it again. It's definitely not a Rocksteady game, you can tell. So, yeah. Again, I apologize for the lack of sound in the fight going on as I'm talking here. Just blaming Fraps. So, yeah, with that, I will see you in my next part. See you guys later.